Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming early, and thank you to the security of the Consul-General for helping everything go so smoothly. My name is Quentin, Compton-Bishop, and I'm the chairman of the Levantine Heritage Foundation. I just want to spend a couple of minutes just to explain who we are. It all started about 3-4 years ago almost, with the interest from the first Izmir Symposium. This was built on the work of Craig Enser's website, Levantine Heritage, and really we have a great deal to thank him for bringing us here today, 4 years later. We decided at the end of the Izmir Symposium that the interest was such, not just from families that had origins in the Levant, but from the academic interest, that we would set up a charity to promote the education, research, and the preservation of the arts, culture and heritage of the peoples and communities of the Levant. And so the charity has been set up, and this is its first conference, first academic conference that we've organised today. Education, research and preservation of heritage. Education through events such as these, and also by setting up the Levantine Heritage website to build from Craig Enser's original site, to set up things like a digital archive where things can be accessed by the public, by academia, and people can learn from that material. We plan to have events quite regularly, both in London and in Istanbul and in Izmir, and gradually will extend around the world. Research. As we grow, we wish to support researchers as they study Levantine heritage topics. We are dependent on donations, and part of what we receive will go towards academic research. Preservation. I've already mentioned our ambition to set up a digital archive of material. But it's very important that we move quite quickly. People's memories and archives, they fade. And we need to capture this as best we can. Lastly, I want to thank our sponsors and our volunteers. Really, the response has been absolutely fantastic, and I wish to thank them very much. And I'm going to sort of point them all out to you. The Baby Koch Foundation, Antoine Maxumi, Arcas, Catoni Group, Organic Holding, Bell Holding. And of course, we couldn't operate without the help of the Istituto Italiano di Cultura, the British Consul-General. Thank you so much, Consul-General, for letting us use this fantastic building. The British Chamber of Commerce in Turkey, who are providing the coffee for lunch and have been a great support throughout. And for this evening at the Crimean Memorial Church, the English chaplaincy in Istanbul. So thank you very much, our sponsors. Thank you also to our volunteers and trustees. People are wearing these little gold badges. If you have any questions, please ask them. And please, could you show your appreciation for all of them? So I'd like to introduce Her Majesty's Consul-General Leigh Turner, just to give his own welcome.
Great. Well, look, thank you very much, Quentin, for that. And I'm Leigh Turner, the Consul-General here in Istanbul. This is the house in which I have the pleasure and the privilege to live and work. Welcome to all of you. We have many meetings in this room. I don't think we often have many where there is quite so much expertise gathered in the same room. But I've had a look at the programme. It looks absolutely fantastic. And for me, I can't help but be aware of the Levantine heritage here in Istanbul and in Turkey more widely, partly because there are so many people with whom I have contact and who have welcomed me so warmly to the city, who have Levantine connections. And I'd just like to say thank you to all of them who have made me welcome here. A second factor is that I get a lot of visitors. Since I've been living in Istanbul, I've been very popular amongst many of my friends, and they remember that they want to come and see me and stay here. And quite a few of them, actually, are on pilgrimages to sites in Izmir or in Istanbul here. I recently had somebody who was descended from the Whittle family, and they went across to Izmir or Smyrna and looked at old family houses. They went across to Moda. On the house of my friend's great-grandfather, there are now 9 blocks of flats. And I think that tells you something about changing patterns of land use. He also showed me a nice book which referred to the hospitality of the Levantines. It said, even by the very high standards of the region, the Levantine hospitality was unparalleled. And I think that's also very true, and it's, that hospitality is reflected in your very nice booklet, which I had a look at. I noticed that you not only describe Pera House, correctly in my view, as magnificent, but you also give valuable information on how to contact us if you want to do some business in Turkey. So thank you very much for including that. I thought, as we have so many historians and experts here, I might just say a word about Pera House. I mean, it is a pretty splendid building, and it houses now more than 200 staff, actually, even though it was originally built as mainly as a residence, doing everything from visas to consular work, cultural, political, economic, commercial work. And it's, as you can see, still fantastically well designed. You are allowed later, or we can ask Nilufer to turn on the fans when the sun streams in and it gets a bit warm in here. But it wasn't always so appreciated. I'll come back to that in a moment. As many of you will probably know, this is the second embassy building on this site. We first got the site in around 1798, where Anglo-Ottoman relations were on a fantastic high, following the defeat of the French at the Battle of the Nile and their subsequent expulsion from Egypt. Sultan Selim III offered to present a site to King George III and to build on it a fitting permanent house for the British ambassador. The foundation stone was laid on the 18th of January 1802 at a ceremony at which Captain Pasha, Admiral of the Fleet, said, "It was not in the power of language to convey an adequate idea of the obligations Great Britain had rendered to Turkey." He then released from their chains all of his 150 Maltese slaves, some of whom had been held for 50 years, and handed them to British protection. I wish I'd been there. That building subsequently burned down on the 2nd of August 1831. They then started building the new embassy. The foundation stone was laid on the 21st of August 1844, but the house was not fully occupied until 1855, amidst constant criticism from London about the expense. On the 6th of June 1870, there was a great fire in Istanbul, and reports reached London that Pera House had been destroyed. The Times of London, which had been critical of the expense and scale of the house, wrote as follows: "Thus will have perished one of the most pretentious and costly buildings that has ever been erected for the service, for the service of the British nation." The ambassador at Constantinople, the Times continued, is a great personage. Many a sovereign has not a grander house over his head. Size, strength, solidity were in its aspect, severe and gaunt though this may be. The Times concluded, it was not beautiful. People were told that it looked well from a distance, but we never found anyone who had been far enough off to admire it. So we can see how critical tastes vary over the years. Look, good luck with your conference, everybody. I'm sure you're going to have a tremendous time. Thank you.